Magandang hapon. Hoy, Jen. Magandang hapon, Jen. Magandang hapon. Hoy, Jen. Magandang hapon, Jen. Yan. Okay. Yan, wala nang ano. Miss Jenny Jamson Santos. Good afternoon. Thank God it's Pixpro Day. Mike Angelo Matrido, magandang hapon. Brother. Sino pa bang nandito? Uy, nawala. Sorry. Okay. Mitch Australia from EN or Exclusive Networks. Magandang hapon. Isang malaking karangalan na makasama na namin kayo sa hapong ito. Si Miss May Solosod, magandang hapon din. No? Jessa Gallego, good afternoon din po sa iyo. Happy Friday sa inyong lahat. Exciting yung ating ano ngayon, no? Bridging the gap. Yung ating kwentuhan. Christopher, mayang hapon diha bay. Kumusta diha sa Cebu? Lamig gihapon ang litson diha. Chicharon, chorizo, puro pampabata. Good afternoon, Sam. Magandang hapon. Sabihin nyo naman kung nasaan kayo. Para ang aking pinsan. Sino pa ba nandito? Ate Yel, nandiyan ka ba? Magandang hapon. Maayong hapon. Sabihin nyo kung nasang lugar kayo. Si Levi's. Mr. Levy, ang aking kabat sa elementary o high school sa Mindanao. Maayong hapon niya ba eh? Okay. Sino pa? Kinsa pa? Apa? From Cavite State University pala si Sam. Magandang hapon dyan sa Cavite. Bukas nasa Cavite ako. Ay, teka lang. 5 people. sorry. Admit. Sorry na busy ako sa ano eh. Sa pag-greet ng ating mga kasama. Hello, nandiyan na kayo. Pipi Mia, nandiyan ka na ba?
Afternoon. Are we live, sir? We're live.
Yes.
Hi,
Hi, Mr.
Hello,
President.
hi everyone.
Hello, Janice. Good afternoon.
Afternoon, sir.
Hi, Janice. Hi, Richard.
Hi, Richard.
Hi, Richard.
Let me just put on my background.
Okay. By the way, we're already live.
Yep, we are
Hi,
live.
Ava. I see Ava there.
Where's Ava?
Is Ava there?
Laki na ni
That's
Ava.
shy. Hi everyone. Good afternoon.
Hi, VP Sheila, VP Mia, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Pres, good
Welcome back,
afternoon.
Mr. Ace.
Thank you.
Mr. Richard, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, everyone. How are you all? Well, good morning from here, but afternoon to you all.
Yep, we are good. We are always good.
Excellent. Best way to be.
Yep. You know, when you are in cybersecurity, you're always okay, even if you're not okay.
That's a positive outlook. I don't think I've ever heard a
Yep.
cybersecurity person being positive. Yeah.
Si Pen Miranda Bumangla, good afternoon. Magandang hapon.
Sir Pen is the country manager of exclusive networks here in the Philippines. Hi, Pen.
Wow. Hi, Pen. Will we see you on May 30? We should, no?
Yes.
Si Ray Bobier, nandyan na naman siya. Good afternoon, magandang hapon. Si Dax Dunas. Si Sir Tyrion. Mayong hapon, from Cebu. Kani, murag naghantag taga Cebu diri mga kumakaon og litson.
Janice is from Cebu, sir.
Bisaya ka, sir?
Ha! Saya kayo.
Sir, Bisaya tayo ko. Taga-asa ka, sir?
Taga Cebu.
Ay,
Nakuan mi sa Malboal mi, Malboal.
oy, kadaghang nice nga beach. Ako Cagayan de Oro, sir, pero Carolinian ko, sir, graduate sa San Carlos.
Hala, unsa man na may Bisaya diha.
Daghan kayong Bisaya dali.
Napo diri.
Bisaya gyud kay gwapa, basta Bisaya gwapa gyud.
Sorry about that, Richard. just some
I'm just going to nod and agree. It's the safest approach.
Mualbual de ay ka. Oy, Christopher, mualbual ko. Why? Ay ko ina printita. Sa mualbual kasi lahat ng tao mga kamag-anak namin eh. Hey Noel, good afternoon. Oh, si Jaska or Jasha Ligan from Bohol. Adjog jaga kay.
Sir, ang galing mo magbisaya.
Adjog jaga kay adjaw ilabti ang kabadyo nga putig tidyan kay dili ka injo. Bohol man na, Bohol. Also
just to give context to Richard, Mr. Chair.
Yep.
Richard, there are, although we have one national language based largely on 2 to 3 dialects, there are almost 400 dialects in the Philippines.
Yep.
Okay. So, and you're just hearing one.
Wow. Yeah, I can just about cope with different accents in the UK. So yes, I can appreciate. Yeah.
Okay. So we also have Mr. Bonnie Jonsai, the head of cyber security investigations of PLDT and Smart. He doesn't speak Tagalog. He speaks English. Bonnie, how are you? Si Jaska natatawa si Jaska. Oo, marami akong barkada mga Buholano noon. Ganyan ang namin. Pag inasar namin yung mga Buholano, ang sabi naman nila mga Cebuano kumakain ng mais. Manok lang kumakain ng mais.
Mr. Chair, let me translate that for Richard.
Go ahead.
Richard, I'm sure I'm not sure if you're aware that, Filipinos are very big on rice, right? But there are portions of the Philippines that actually their staple is not rice, it's corn, ground corn, to be more precise. So it's become a running joke between the rice-eating portion of the Philippines and the non-rice or corn-eating portion. So the joke is, for the non-corn eating, they call us from that place where we eat corn as a staple. They call us chickens. It's only the chickens who eat corn in the Philippines. So even among Filipinos, there is racism.
I was saying, how do the chickens feel about that? I don't know.
Yeah. With all due respect to the chickens.
Yeah.
Okay, time check, VP Mia.
It's
Already
5:03.
5:03. We can go ahead and introduce our. It's your show.
Yeah. Okay, good afternoon, magandang hapon, mga ka-Pixpro. And today we have a very interesting topic, no? Our topic for today is about bridging the cybersecurity skills gap. And although I believe the content that Richard will be sharing with us later is based on global and EMEA centric, I'm so sure that this bridging the cybersecurity skills gap is actually it's a global thing, right? I remember Mr. Ace actually said, this is a very interesting topic, and he said he will be part of the KC today. That's why we have him today. But there's not enough people in cybersecurity to fill open jobs, right? And since this is a global problem, although the content may be EMEA centric, but I hope and we might be able to get a thing or two which we can actually use here as well in the Philippines, so that we can help in terms of bridging the cybersecurity skills gap. Just for Richard, before I introduce you to everyone, that is also one of the area in which Pixpro is trying to address or to help the country, meaning we want to help the country build more cybersecurity people, so that we can contribute in terms of bridging the skills gap that we are experiencing today. They said that by 2025 there will be 3.5 million cybersecurity jobs open globally, and that represents a 350% increase over an 8-year period according to Cybersecurity Venture. So imagine 3.5 million cybersecurity jobs. So for today, we are happy to have Richard Folks. He's based in the UK. Am I right, Richard? And he is the Chief Solutions Consultant of Exclusive Networks. So having worked in the cybersecurity sector for over 14 years, Richard has a wealth of market knowledge ranging from solutions, startups, and established vendors. Being appointed Chief Solution Consultant to Exclusive Networks, Richard enables partners to change through innovation by having a forward-thinking approach to market trends and identifying where the channel can create new growth through opportunity. So without further ado, we have Richard. Richard, over to you.
Thank you very much, Mia. Hello, everyone. So yes, as Mia says, I am Richard. My role within Exclusive is talking about what's happening in the world. And a lot of that is around skill shortages. It's looking at what's happening to technology. I've been doing this for 14 years, and I enjoy every minute of it. It's such an amazing market and so interesting, but it is also, there's a huge barrier to entry as well. And I'll go through a bit about that challenge, and from both an end user perspective and also a partner perspective, because I see both sides of it. Do you guys do slides, or is it better just to talk through my sort of thought process? How do you guys usually do these sort of sessions, if you don't mind me asking?
Slides or no slides, Richard, it's fine by us.
Yeah.
Well, I'll go through the slides because Denny wrote slides which he was going to present, so I'll use his slides,
Sure.
and then we'll I need screen sharing enabled if possible.
VP
Yep.
Ishi.
Done.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Thank you very much. So I'm going to share with you a bit about our strategy, just because it sets the scene nicely. So I'm just going to do that. If I press that, everyone can see my lovely slide deck prepared by Denny. Yep, excellent. Okay, so Exclusive Networks. So who are we? So we are a global distributor. We specialize in cybersecurity, so looking at the market. We've got a lot of different skills and specialists. We've got a lot of different areas we focus on, but we've seen a massive change in I've seen a massive change in our past 14 years of growth. And in a good and bad way, we're never going to be out of business. The cybersecurity market is only going to keep increasing as we keep increasing data, keep increasing the amount of stuff we work with. It also creates the challenge that the more security products there are, the more of the skill shortage we're going to see. Now, our job is to have a vision. We're talking about trying to create a trusted digital world where we're saying you can actually trust what you're doing, what you're creating. It's almost an impossibility because there's always going to be a risk. There's always going to be a challenge. But also you can't truly transform your business until you can trust what you're doing. And it's sort of a chicken and egg scenario. Is how can you create stuff if you can't trust it? So again, we see this as a challenge. It's our mission to try and help people get there, work with different solutions and different skill sets. And we're especially at scale. So obviously I'm from the UK. We've got an EMEA outfit. We've got an Asia Pac outfit. We've got an outfit in the US as well as having an outfit in Africa and the Middle East as well. So we've spread across the world from where we first started being in a French outlet. We've expanded across the world through our vision of having the right service portfolio along with the right cybersecurity solutions with the right skilled people. Again, it's trying to find the right fits, and with a skill shortage on the scale that it is, it's a challenge. There's at the moment reported, so in the UK, it's around about 800,000 unfilled security skilled people. But I'm going to put that as a caveat. Different people have different classifications of what a security person is. It might be someone who's just a security analyst. It might be someone who's a cloud specialist. It might be someone who's a developer. There are so many different roles in cybersecurity. It's hard to say where the biggest gap is. And we're seeing at the moment mainly in the cloud side of it. Cloud is a huge challenge for organizations because we've changed how we work. You guys would have seen it as well. With the lockdown with COVID in the UK and across Europe, we were locked in houses. We weren't allowed out, and working mainly that people had to work remotely and utilizing the cloud. So again, we had to have specialist people working in those areas to help deliver projects, deliver the services, and it's changed how we work with those different organizations. It's just a small snapshot of who we are, where we work. We IPO'd in last year in October. We are publicly traded. We invest a lot in cybersecurity in schools. And I'll talk a bit about the universities in the UK, what we're seeing and how they're funding to try and encourage people to go into cybersecurity. And again, it's that starting at the grassroots to get that security focus. But we focus heavily on technical engineers versus sales because of that challenge of the skill shortage we see in the channel. I won't talk about this very much, but this is just a snapshot of our portfolio. We work with a range of different solutions. I'll show you a slide in a second, which always makes me laugh. Which just gives you a small snapshot of the cybersecurity market. This is like a lot of vendors. On average, there's about 3,500 cybersecurity vendors with 60 new ones coming out every year. Now you imagine as an end user, how can you get trained up on all those products? You can't. Or as a partner, it's impossible to get trained up in all those areas. So what we try and do is split out into areas of specialties, whether it's an enterprise firewall, whether it's endpoint. And again, it's trying to focus on how you can be focused on certain areas rather than be a master of everything, because it is almost impossible to do that. So our strategy. So we've started off as cybersecurity, as I said, focused on a growing market. Cybersecurity is going to keep on growing. As I've said before, it's a huge market. There's lots of on-premise, there's services, cloud, there's cross-selling. If you look at Palo Alto, if you look at some of the established vendors, F5, they will be on an acquisition route. They'll keep acquiring new solutions, and people who are skilled in those products have got a platform to build out from. The challenge there is I might not be skilled on Palo, I might be skilled on Cisco. So how do I understand and transfer those skills across? So we see that as a challenge about how people get trained, and we know training programs are huge for the next few years of getting people skilled up to be able to move across to different solutions. We know that the SDN, the software-defined networking market is going to be huge as well because of how the industry's changed, where people are working. We're working in the cloud a lot more. We're no longer stuck behind an office, behind a firewall. We're all over the place. So having SASE, SSE, it's a huge growing market. And again, there's growth in areas such as the SD-WAN market. Again, all these areas we're focusing on are focused on areas that we believe there's going to be big growth. Sometimes it is a pure punt. Cloud security, while it's a huge opportunity, it's only 23 billion at the moment, and it's going to keep growing. but it's that area of market where we know there's a skill shortage, but there's a huge opportunity as people start moving into that area. So how do we get this intelligence? What do we base this on? Well, we use more different financial reports. Part is where companies are investing in. Now, if you are looking at cybersecurity practitioners and where people are going into, it's then looking at where people are going to invest the money into. If you're thinking about jobs in cybersecurity, you want to be focusing on where people are investing into. While quantum computing is really exciting, people aren't really utilizing it at the moment. There isn't budget for that to hire people in that space. But for information security, for SOCs, for security teams, there's a big amount of investment in that space. With regards to automation, we know there's such a huge demand at the moment within end users to automate more and more. The reason why that becomes important is if you've got 300 different security products, you can't look at them all. But if I can automate 75% of it, my job's going to be easier. And we see that especially in Europe, where you've got a dispersed network in multiple different languages. I mean, we don't have 400 languages actually, but we've got a few different ones in different locations, and different cultures and different rules. So Germany will have different cybersecurity rules compared to the UK. And again, applying policies quickly and automatically across those becomes more and more important. So again, we've seen a huge change in where people are investing in, especially focusing on things like automation, obviously cyber information security. From a security perspective, again, it's the biggest market space for us to sell to and people acquiring because it's the most important. The more stuff we create, the more areas of information we design and build, the more security we need. It's never going to go away. It's that thing of no matter how much we create, we'll always need something new to secure it, to protect it. Networking and storage obviously still going to be important, but we know security is always going to be everyone's heart. And again, it's just, yeah, year-on-year growth. It's big. Firewalls and SASE are going to keep increasing. Working people remotely, working different locations. We know identity is a huge market space as well. Just because of if you think about where you're working, I need to confirm it's you. And we see these skill sets as how can you change from having a understanding of firewall or networking firewall works to how does identity access works. And again, they don't work the same way. And most CISOs don't understand all of this stuff. They understand specific areas, but their job is to have the strategy to have the right people to then deliver those services. Their challenge is then finding those right people to deliver that service. And again, we know it's a growth area. We know there's more and more people investing in the security market. We know network and web is never going to go away. It's only going to keep increasing. I'm losing my voice. Sorry, 1 second. But it's again, it's a growing market. And the reason why it's a growing market is people need solutions and tools as well as people. So we know that security landscape is going to keep growing. And it's why we exist as a distributor. This is where it gets challenging. There is 2,618 cybersecurity companies that this company tracks. I've got another report which shows 3,500. No end user can have someone skilled on all those products. It's impossible to have that. And each organization keeps needing more and more skilled people. The challenge comes in for smaller companies and mid-sized organizations is how can they compete against the financial institutes, the vendors themselves, because they're offering more money than they can ever do. And the skill shortage is only going to keep increasing as more and more vendors come out. So there's 2,600 security companies, and each of those needs, say, 100 SEs. You've already lost 260,000 people before you even start. So again, it's that challenge of 2 million employees. So again, some of those organizations have got even more than 100 SEs and cybersecurity people. So it's a never-ending challenge, which is why we're seeing vendors change their approach to the market space and actually looking at how they build in services. Because what we're not seeing is organizations saying we don't want cybersecurity. We can't run it. What they're saying is we need someone else to look after that for us. We need someone else to help deliver that for us, whether that's the vendor, or whether that's the partner who may be specialized in 3 or 4 different areas, or whether that's the distributor, such as ourselves, where we're specialists on 8 or 9 different areas where we can help offer support and security. Again, we see that market changing. And DevOps. I hate DevOps because it's everyone's favorite buzzword, but it is really important and it's a growing area. The whole idea of DevOps is how people shift their traditional market. I've built everything by my firewall. I've got everything in data centers to building it in the cloud, utilizing development teams to build things quicker and faster, outsourcing elements. But what we're seeing this challenge is creating a huge security gap. And from my own perspective, DevOps still does seem like a bit of a secret art, but it's an area that we know that's growing. and exclusive networks, we were trying to think about how to deal with this, whether it's looking at how we do the automation, how we look at how we build out the applications, or even chaos engineering, which I hadn't heard about until about a year and a half ago when we acquired a company. And the whole idea of this is, I build applications, they should work. But chaos engineering is well, actually, you don't know it's going to work. You can't think of every scenario. So let us create that. And again, it's trying to create the skills and the solutions that people are going to use. If you've got someone building an application, they may not be a security expert, or they may not be a identity access management. They might be an application builder. And it's all these different teams working together to try and create a simple solution. What you don't want, and what we have seen in the past, is people are having walls up between the security team and the development teams. And again, it just doesn't work. We know there has to be the unity. And part of the challenge has always been is finding the right people to work together. But people are trying to build out these teams and they don't always talk to each other, which then just creates a company that doesn't work or has a lot more delays than they should have. And I have no answer for that, by the way. I would like everyone to work together nicely, but that never happens. So when we took the approach of looking at how we're going to approach the cloud market, so we acquired an organization called 𝐂𝐲𝐬. 𝐂𝐲𝐬 understand the cloud. That's been their entire business model. So they're all SEs, engineers who basically build and design applications. That's where our focus has been, is utilizing these guys to help build out things with utilizing Docker, HashiCorp, which does all your Terraform and building your applications, through to things like Prisma, which is a Palo Alto product. But the reason why we went for these guys is we realized we need a specialist focused on the cloud, because it's not necessarily a minefield, but different people have different classifications of what cloud is. Some people think just putting a firewall in AWS and Azure is enough. And the question is, well, actually, is it? What are you using it for? And there's a much bigger picture than just utilizing one little part of it. So again, we've even had to take the approach of looking outside of our own industry to find people who can do this. So for smaller partners, for smaller end users, this is a real challenge of how do I find these skilled people? And again, these guys have evolved over the years from what was the big cloud containers all the way up to operations, through to management compliance, hybrid cloud. We know this market is going to keep increasing, but most of these vendors here are under 2 years old. Obviously, the big ones, AWS, Docker, aren't. But when you look at things like Terraform, you look at things like Mirantis, these solutions are new. Twistlock obviously got acquired by Paolo. It's a constant changing market space. And from an end user perspective and from a skilled set, how can you be skilled at all these things? Again, you can't be. You have one area of specialty. So again, as more products come out, your skills get more, you need more and more skills, which again causes this shortage of how we deliver it. That's where our focus has been with regards to working with specialists in this space. I'm not going to talk about this because I've covered this enough, but again, it's trying to find out things in this hype curve. If you think about an end user perspective or skill set, very few people are going to be trained up in these areas to begin with. It's more where people have realized actually it's now starting to pick up, people are starting to require it again. SASE was everywhere 4 years ago. It's only now just starting to be realized by most organizations getting skilled people in it. If you haven't got anyone skilled in it, can you deploy that product? We see that as a real challenge. Our other company we acquired was Ignition. These guys specialize in startups, finding vendors, supporting them and growing them. Our focus has always been is trying to provide as much of a service for a limited number of products, because people can't get skilled in it. The reason why people can't get skilled on it is because, is because of this. So this is a small snapshot of the cybersecurity vendor landscape. And it is just split into different areas. It's a minefield. So you imagine trying to get skilled up on all those different products, because unfortunately, not all products work the same. They don't all work in the same environment. They don't all work in the same way. And you've got different operating systems. It's a challenge. What we've done in the UK is we tried to create a university schemes which are supported by the NCSC, so our National Cybercrime Security Centre. So they will actually say these are courses that we recommend. These are the areas that they specialize in. So whether it is network security, whether it is cloud-based security, whether it's software-based security, and these are the courses that we offer in that space. But actually what we've seen them do even more is start to focus at the children age. So 7 to 11-year-olds have got low-level cybersecurity training. And the reason why it's becoming more and more important is if we start training them when they are younger, they'll understand it when they get older. And also remove some of the stigmatism. Unfortunately, there's only about 20%, oh, it's probably less than that, it's probably about 12% of women in cybersecurity. It is a small number. And part of it is the stigmatism with it. It's always been seen as, well, it was seen as not very cool, wasn't seen as very popular. It's now becoming guaranteed jobs. It's a huge amount of business. It's a huge amount of growth. And the university courses and getting them started younger is going to make it remove a lot of that barrier with regards to getting children, girls, men, everyone into that industry. And again, the only way we're going to fill it is by getting them starting younger. So yeah, 350% growth in cybersecurity positions. We've seen that every year. At the moment, now I don't agree with this 0% because there are some rubbish cybersecurity people out there who will not be employed, but majority of people who are good will maintain employment. And the reason why is there's such a huge skill shortage. And with more and more solutions coming out, it means that more and more vendors will be after new skill people. It also means that more and more partners and end users will want skilled security people. It's a never-ending challenge. We're never ever going to fill that gap because of that fact. So we're having to look at how we can outsource or utilize teams to deliver these sort of roles. So this is a report that Fortinet created, focused on different roles that organizations are looking for. There's so many reports out there, but cloud is obviously always going to be the biggest one, because it's not new, but understanding it is different to understanding how traditional networks work. And we see that as a huge challenge. Same with SOC analysts. Having a team of SOC analysts is a huge challenge. How can you build out your security operations center without these people? You can buy all the tools you want to, but without someone actually managing it, looking at it, it's never going to work. So we see this as a huge challenge. It's an area that we focus on. So the reason why we acquired NewAware is from the cloud perspective. The reason why we work with our own managed security service is to offer our own SOC service. We know that these are huge skill shortages. So we know that outsourcing to a company which can provide to 50 people is better than trying to build it yourself because of the costs and the times. Obviously, if you've got the money, you've got the time, you can find the people, brilliant. But more often than not, we find out that is a limited amount of skills and limited amount of people and time as well. Most people want to deploy security quickly. So the challenge there is, how do I find those people? One thing that's not on here, incident response specialists. The weird thing here is they're only used when you have an incident. So you don't need them all the time. So again, as an organization, as an end user, would you pay someone to be on your books to only use them maybe once a year? And if you don't use them, who are you going to call if that does happen? So again, organizations have this huge challenge of, where do I focus my money? Is it something I need all the time, or something when it does happen, it's really, really important, but they might not be doing anything for 12 months. So again, where do I focus my resources? So with Exclusive, we try to build out our own global supplies team. So we've got a NOC team, which is 24/7, which focuses on our portfolio, but as well as solutions which are agnostic. So things like Cisco, products we don't actually necessarily carry. It's all about that services wrap and keeping it simple, trying to remove some of the painful things from organizations, especially if you think about global deployments. So if you've got 75 countries you're trying to ship stuff to and get it actually racked and set up correctly, that is a huge challenge. And if I can remove that pain point, it's actually going to save the IT team's time. It always comes down to managing time. We also have managed security service, which is SOC and monitoring alerting. Again, we've created our own platform for this, utilizing Palo and Fortinet to offer a managed service. And again, it's trying to help support how I go to that space, how I actually move to the security, the constantly hunting, and that zero trust model. And then training. I can't stress enough, there's no point buying a cybersecurity product and not being trained in it, because if you're not trained in it, it's not going to work. It becomes a very expensive doorstop. And we've seen that in the past, where people spend millions on very advanced cybersecurity solutions and then no one can use it. And if no one can use it, it just doesn't serve a purpose. Yes, it looks good when you have the auditor around, but actually it's trying to get that people trained on it. And most products need to have training on it because they don't all work the same. And I think that is me finished on my random slide deck.
Thank you so much, Richard. Very interesting what you've shown earlier. Because I think, Mr. Chair, it's very aligned to what we are doing. And I think nakita mo na to no? Nakita mo na talaga, Mr. Chair, even before. You saw this coming. Because Richard, for your information, Mr. Chair founded Pixpro out of frustration because the trainings are very expensive, and the technology keeps on changing. And so when Mr. Chair founded Pixpro, he said, we will be able to, what we want is to provide these trainings to people who are interested with cybersecurity. And that is what exactly we saw earlier from your deck. And just to clarify, do we have enough people today, but they only lack the skills because of the rapid change in technology? Or are we also behind in terms of the number of individuals? Or
It's
both?
it's a bit of both, I would say. So the reason why I say it's a bit of both is, yes, there are a lot of people in this industry, and there's a lot of people who could get skilled up to understand that information. The challenge is retaining that talent and actually getting them into the right position. There's a lot of people in the wrong roles where they'd be better fitted doing other elements. That said, the actual skill set is constantly changing. I've met a few CISOs who were ex human resource managers, or I've met cybersecurity specialists who used to deal with switches. It's a very different level of skill sets required to do both. And part of it's just that training enablement. Everyone wants to get cybersecurity. Cybersecurity, it's not, I don't know if it's cool, but it's that thing of, there's a lot of demand, there's a lot of requirement. It's trying to get people confident enough to apply for it and get that trained up. I think we do a bad job of making it seem too scary. It's not scary, it's just a bit of an unknown.
There's actually more. The list of skills that Richard presented, there's still a lot more. In our organization, we have strategy. Mr. President is heading the strategy. There's innovation, right? And there's also provisioning. You cannot in a big organization like us, you cannot have both the one operating and he's also the one provisioning. No? And there is the operations, there is the governance. In governance itself, there's a lot of different pillars there. The performance, compliance. There's just we even have a group that's doing the tools. The automation. There's just a lot of skills needed in cybersecurity. And those skills that are visible to many of us are just the surface. There's just the surface. And I like the slide that saying 0% in unemployment, 0% unemployment rate in cybersecurity. And I thought, do I have friends in cybersecurity that are unemployed, or that used to be employed and now unemployed, or still unemployed? And the answer is zero. Everyone I know who is into the field of cybersecurity, whichever part of cybersecurity, are all employed. It's Mr. Press.
Yes.
Sorry.
Thank you, Chairman Angel. Richard, this is some. My question really is, this is really out of curiosity. This was piqued by your discussion a while ago about the need, for example, of the DevOps guys to work with the security guys, so that you will have, so you will strengthen DevSecOps in your organization. With that as my premise, where do you see cybersecurity jobs heading to the future? Should we still stick with the strict specializations, but of course with the implicit agreement that there should be collaboration? Or are we looking at a future where we will have more hybridization, or that cybersecurity practitioners will need a combo of skills for them to be actually competitive in cybersecurity in the future? So it's not enough that they're good in cloud deployments. They also should be good in cloud security, so that they will be competitive in the future. It's some sort of a question out of curiosity.
It's a good question. There's two parts of it. One part is everyone's needing cybersecurity, so in some ways you don't really need to have the skill set to be competitive. However, to be good at your role, you need to understand your business objectives. So it's not good enough to think I can stop that attack. Well, okay, you stop that attack. We've also stopped the CFO working when he's doing his financial report. It's trying to understand where you fit across the business. And that whole DevOps and security side of it, they have to work together. The whole idea of DevOps is to create things quickly. And if the security team is stopping that happening, your organization itself won't run. And it's great you stopped an attack, but if your organization goes bust because of it, it's not a good position to be in. So I think it's more about security people being aware of what their role is. Their role isn't to stop an attack. Their role is to make their business successful. Their role is to make their business run. A CISO's role isn't to understand every single security attack. It's to say, we are running well today. We know what's happening. It's because it's impossible to stop every attack. You can never get 95% cybersecurity. Like, attacks will always eventually get through because of there's so many ways in, whether it's paying someone to plug in a USB sticks, just leaving USB sticks in a hallway, sending emails to everyone. There's always going to be ways in. It's just how do you deal with it? And I think the cybersecurity role's changed from that traditional, no, we are the barrier people, because that's how security was always perceived as, I'm going to say no to everything. It's now, how can I let you do your job quickly and easily while still being secure? I think that's where we've seen that change of mindset from a traditional, no, everything's blocked, can't go on anything, to actually, how do we enable you? How do we actually support you to do your job?
Well, I was going to pick up from your last point about mindset, Richard. But before I do that, I'd like to make a run around the table first. If Chairman Angel, Sheila, and Mia have questions before I throw in my second one.
Go ahead.
Fire away.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah,
So,
go ahead, VP Sheila.
I mean, we all know that this gap is just increasing every year. And just looking at your chart a while ago, the vendor or technology chart, I mean, there's so many, right? When you see also the types of attacks and the way the technology community is trying to address it, it's just very exponential. And I think there is a big role of the academe in this. But speaking for the Philippines alone, we know that it's already a challenge just developing the right cybersecurity curriculum, even for the, those that are supposed to be updated. So what do you think is the way of our community to address this? Because I think we can all start, from the beginning, from the academe, so that we can get the right people, the right mindset to be in cyber. So what are your thoughts on this, Richard?
I mean, the big area is starts out focusing on people who are young, getting them interested and starting it. I think the biggest challenge is that it's that self-belief, because again, cybersecurity sounds so scary, but actually you don't really need to understand the zeros and ones. All you need to understand is, how do I identify something's bad and how do I respond to it in your different areas of specialty? And there is a big stigmatism about how hard it is. It's not, it just requires a bit of effort, a bit of focus. And I think it is that part of that challenge is that the cost of entry, people have got this perceived thing of I just can't do it. And I need 7 computers in my office at home to be able to do a cybersecurity course. You don't, you need a laptop. It's that stigmatism I think we've created ourselves by saying, it's from all the films where they've got the massive 27 screens and that's all they work on. It's not real, but people perceive it as that way, and so thus they get put off by it. I'd much rather be a lawyer or someone in banking because that's safe. But actually, cybersecurity is a huge industry and it's very simple. And actually, if you do have an analytical mind, those are the right sort of people for cybersecurity. It's all about logic. It's all about following things through. I think we just need to make it more easy to access, in my opinion.
I'll jump right back, Mr. Chair. Richard, we were talking about mindset a while ago. I don't know how it is in the UK, but one of our pain points, or one of the things that I think Pixpro as an organization is really very frustrated with is on the matter of certifications. And okay, going back to mindset, I think it's not just a Philippine mindset, but I think it's a global mindset as to the preference for certifications, right? I just got hold of the IEC2 report, their workforce report. I was quoting from that so that I have something to base my question on. There's actually a 56% premium over positions that require certifications over those that do not require certifications. It's 56% premium, and that's the global average, okay? So we're talking about how many countries they surveyed here. 14 countries were surveyed across 4 continents. So that's South America, Europe, Asia, and the Pacific, and then they global averaged it. I mean, this is crazy. And then we talk about the shortage, right, of cybersecurity professionals. And then it was just mentioned a while ago, part of the reason why Pixpro was created was because of the high cost of trainings and certifications, which would otherwise be a barrier to entry for many cybersecurity professionals. What does the picture look like? What does the landscape look like in the UK when it comes to that? And the challenges in changing the mindset of companies, especially on the basis of hiring people, whether certified or not certified.
Yeah, it is a big issue. I remember, I can't remember who was saying about it on LinkedIn. They were referring to the fact that the job that there was on offer required a skill set in a product that he created, and it was more than experience than he had. Like we see this thing of people creating jobs like, well, I want 7 years experience in that. It's only been around for 3 years. It's that weird, it's a stigmatism. It is that thing of, well, I want to do some more experience. Well, why? Exclusive, we've created our own university scheme. So we will basically take on young students who are keen, who've got an analytical mind, and train them up. And I think that's the right way to approach it. You don't need to understand everything. As long as you've got one person to mentor them and train them in an organization, then you can take on the young people. You can work with them. You can create that mindset of actually, let's develop these people. And actually I'm not going to get to university course now, but I personally feel on the job learning is better necessarily than a course, because the course becomes outdated as soon as you finished it. It doesn't, because again, it's that analytical approach and that mindset. But actually, there's a huge value of actually companies taking on these young kids who are keen. I'd rather have someone who is keen and willing to learn than someone who knows everything already and refuses to change his mindset. And again, it's trying to encourage companies to change their approach to it. Oh, I need someone who's really skilled in cybersecurity. Well, why? You've got no one currently. Why not take on this young guy who's willing to learn and actually get him trained up? So yeah, I personally think it's an area that we need to encourage organizations to take that risk. It's not even a risk, but actually creating a opportunity for people without all the certifications requirements, without all the different skill sets, because actually, why do you need them? Does it make you a better cyber person? It might do 1 or 2 scenarios, but actually, if you can approach the thing in a more analytical way and actually can think for yourself, you're already halfway there, in my opinion.
You know what I just heard from you, Richard, just proves what I've, well, to be forthright, I'm only approaching 2.5 years in cybersecurity, okay? As in, I came into cybersecurity with 0 background in cybersecurity. So officially, I'm only 2.5 years old in cybersecurity. But just hearing you now only confirms what I've long suspected. Because when I was listening to you, it was like exactly listening to my chairman here is also my boss at work, okay? So you actually, so I think if you've entered into that mindset in cybersecurity, whether you're in UK or you're in the Philippines, you will actually be arriving at the same conclusion and thinking the same way. So, Mr. Chair, I guess that proves your point, which you've been telling me for more than 2 years now. What I just heard from Richard is actually the same thing you've been telling me all along. So anyway, before we go any further, I'd like to welcome one of our vice presidents, is head of our membership. We have VP Alexis or Alex.
Thank you, Mr. Press. Sorry, I'm late. I came from a customer engagement. Sorry.
All right.
And on that note, Mr. President, let's not forget the skills to sell technically cybersecurity. You cannot sell cybersecurity by just doing, the traditional selling knowledge and skills and capabilities. You have to have
Correct.
certain
Correct.
level of mindset also, so that you can discuss and convince your customer about
Customers.
their needs, no? And VP Alex, VP Sheila, and VP Mia is in that field, and also of course among our many of our friends, no? So there has to be a change of mindset. That's the common thing in cybersecurity. If you will not change your mindset, you will not be able to sustain whatever you are doing. VP Mia, mayroon tayong question.
Agree, Mr. Chair. Maganda yung sinabi mo. Yes, we have a question from Sir Terion. Will there be a specific position for just cybersecurity in the future? Or this function will be handled by existing personnel for ex-network engineer plus cybersecurity?
It's related to my question earlier.
Well, if I may answer that question before we jump to the UK perspective of Richard. There are two types of organizations. The big organization who has the budget to do the best practice, which is network does network, IT does IT, and everything else will be cybersecurity. To me, is the ideal. However, in other organizations also who are a little bit short in terms of budget, so they can have the existing network position and then just add the cybersecurity, existing systems administrator position, and add cybersecurity. But the problem there is you cannot just transform a network guy to become a cybersecurity guy doing network security. You cannot just transform a systems administrator guy into a cybersecurity world, without again changing the mindset. And that is always the problem, because there is a difference in thinking. There's a difference in thinking, and that's a DNA of a cybersecurity professional. Thinks differently. In the old days, I think Richard will agree that even during my time also, I was doing everything. I was the network administrator, systems administrator, database administrator. You do port masters, you fix the modem for the dial-up. At the same time, you should do security, right? But not anymore, because the attacks are more sophisticated, highly sophisticated nowadays. You can no longer do that. So there's a best practice, and there's also the budget-driven practice. Richard, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, you just took my thunder there. Yes, 100% agree. If you've got the best networking person in the world, great. But then if he's doing the security, who's doing the networking? Again, it's that thing of, if you move someone from somewhere else, you still got to backfill that person. And also, I guess the advantage for a bigger organization is you can split out the roles and responsibilities. For a smaller organization, you're probably not going to have every single cybersecurity product under the sun. So again, it's which ones are you need for business critical versus which ones can manage itself. But no, I don't think there'll ever be a role which just says cybersecurity, because it covers so much, in the sense that you could be a data protection cybersecurity, you could be talking about cloud cybersecurity, you could talk about network cybersecurity. Cybersecurity itself is just such a broad element. I mean, when I started, there was probably about 300 to 400 cybersecurity vendors. We're now at 3,500. So and that's just because it's just growing so much. And it's not just growing from I've got a great idea, I'm going to release something. It's different areas of the market space. It's different areas people have got challenges in. And the reason why those areas exist is because attackers find new ways to get in.
Yeah.
And as an attacker, I'm not going to target the large organizations, because actually that requires time and effort. So I'm going to target the smaller companies, which then creates that challenge of, well, as a small company, where do I prioritize? Which is the reason why you need an analytical mind rather than necessarily a pure cybersecurity mind, saying, right, actually, where are my biggest assets? What is my value? What's there? Well, then why are we protecting stuff over here? Because again, budget is not unlimited, and cybersecurity is not cheap either. So again, it's trying to get the right balance, which is, it's a never-ending challenge.
Agree. I couldn't agree more. No? and it's really a growing issue for all of us, because especially when hiring is left fully to HR group or HR people. That's why then in our group, HR is only the processor of the hiring, but screening it is done by us. We don't, because if you have HR source people in cybersecurity, it's gonna be a disaster. So now the problem there is if you are also the model for hiring people, then you will also have a hard time hiring people. So there's really a need to institutionalize trainings, internal trainings, tailored to what you have, tailored to your business, and make sure that you create the skills that you need in the least possible time. Mr. Press.
Yeah, before I ask my question, Mr. Chair, I just wanted to check with Alex. Lex, did you want to jump in and ask a question? Or do I go ahead first with my question?
Go ahead, Mr. Press.
Yeah. Richard, could you please go back to that slide of yours where I think it was a Gartner slide. We were talking about where the areas of investment will be in the future, where the big percentages were, and then it goes down the line. I think I captured the first three. So the top three areas of investment will be cybersecurity, data analytics, and then the cloud. That will be where my question. I think that's the one. Yep. So it says, yeah, it says there cyber information security, business intelligence, data analytics, cloud services, solutions. I know this is, my question might sound like a cliche, but there's, I'm not sure if my comparison will be appropriate, but I think living in the UK, where many of our Filipino nurses work and reside, a similar phenomenon happened with Filipino nurses in the US. Okay, so there was an exponential demand for Filipino trained nurses to be deployed in the US, and so there was this. I think it went on for multiple decades, from the 70s up to 30 years onward. Okay, so using that as my analogy, there is now a glut of nursing schools, which basically, train a lot of nurses, and before they get deployed, since they need experience, they're assigned to hospitals which either don't pay them for experience or they pay them peanuts. Do you see something like that happening in cybersecurity in the future, where the level of uptake for our universities, government policy has encouraged, and in fact, government support has poured into cybersecurity training, and we now have a glut of cybersecurity trained professionals with very little cybersecurity jobs to go by? Will that happen, or is that even a proper analogy, Richard?
It is a proper analogy in a sense that it's supply and demand. Obviously, if you create more roles and there's no more roles to fill, you're gonna have that challenge. I guess for cybersecurity, the big difference here is, as a cybersecurity professional, you have to be successful all the time, and all your team does. As an attacker, you have to be successful once. And as the industry changes and as more and more things come out, there's always going to be more and more areas that are going to be required. I guess the challenge would be is if everyone's trained up on one specific area of cybersecurity, if they're all focused on network, let's say they're also focused on firewalls, everyone's moving to the cloud, that's going to be more the challenge. Less so than the fact that you'll be paid peanuts, because actually, even an apprentice will be earning good money because you're required. yes, you're getting skilled and getting trained up on it, but actually, when you're skilled and trained up, I want to keep you. And if I'm paying you peanuts, you're going to leave. And it's that thing of, well, actually, if I make your life as easy as possible, as successful as possible, you're going to stay around. And actually retaining staff is probably even a bigger challenge than hiring them in the first place, because there's so many people taking the good staff. It's what happens. So again, it is a different analogy in the sense that, unfortunately, there's only so many levels that you can go within the nursing practitioner. But again, you've got specialists. So again, actually, there's probably more demand now in certain specialist areas such as cancer treatment and other areas than there is in, say, a nurse who's just a general specialist, because there's so many of those ones. So again, it's not quite the same, but it is the same. But I don't think it'll end up the same way. It'll be more the fact that your skill set may become redundant if it's only focused on one area. And I always say have two sort of areas to focus on, based on what I've seen.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you. So we now are at the 5:54-minute mark. So with our remaining time, I throw it back to our beautiful host, Mia. Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
Very interesting topic. But my takeaway is there's 0% unemployment rate in
That's the
cyber.
great news. That's the great news, everyone. Join cyber,
Also,
you don't lose your job. Except the
Happy to hear that. Happy to hear that.
Yes. I just want to address the question of Michael, no? Can we invite Pixpro for cybersecurity awareness webinar po? And the answer is yes. You can send us an email or message us in Facebook. And yes, we will. And then, Richard, someone's asking, can we request a copy of the presentation material?
I will double check. I think that should be fine, but I'll double check. I don't think there's anything sensitive in there. So
right.
Right. Yeah. Although just a clarification on that, because I saw a NuaWare portfolio shared. Is it something you offer to the public? Is it something that Exclusive Networks is offering?
Yes. So NuaWare, we acquired them back in 2000 and start of COVID to 2020. So that portfolio is available via Exclusive Networks. So, and that skill set is available. A lot of it will be done remotely, but that skill set is available.
Right. Okay. Thank you so much. So for those interested, they can reach out to Exclusive Networks, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and then Marty is asking, any mentorship program for student Pixpro members? Yes, we will soon announce that. That is something that we are preparing for. If you're
actually VP Mia, not only mentorship, di ba?
Right.
Really sponsoring what you call, not lucky, but individuals who are qualified.
Yes.
To go through a free series of formal trainings with certifications.
Right.
And committed, Mr. Chair.
Committed. You know, I was gonna say that, no? Kasi I had a session with our head HR 2 nights ago. And she asked, what's the difference? What's the difference between what I'm looking for and what they're looking for? I said there are two types of cybersecurity professionals: the good one, and the other one is the good one and committed one. Even if you're good and you're not committed, you're still not in my top priority list. So commitment is very important.
Yeah, agree.
Before we run out of time, Mr. Chair, we'd like to go around the table again. Any message for Richard and for our audience regarding our talk today? I think we start with you, Mr. Chair.
Well, I would like to echo Lorenzo Anda's comment here, no? That one reason cybersecurity field is growing is that most businesses, I think all businesses, simply can't afford a data breach. And believe me, I started my career in cybersecurity during the time where nobody understands and nobody will listen. And now we are already at maybe 300% or 400% more educated community. And yes, the more businesses realize and recognize the importance of cybersecurity, then the more professionals will be needed. And we'd still be, we will never be able to fill up the needed number. It will always be bigger compared to the supply. The demand will be bigger compared to the supply. So it's not too late yet. I will not say join us in this profession, but I would say join us in this advocacy and vocation.
Thank you.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Chair. And on my part, since I've already asked a lot of questions, I simply want to thank Richard for joining us today. It's very, very insightful and very informative discussion. I'd also like to thank our audience who joined us today, both on Zoom as well as those who tuned in on our Facebook Live. So with that, thank you again, Richard. Turn you over to Mia, Sheila, and Alex.
Yes, VP Sheila, would you like to?
Yes. Okay. So what's been resonating during this discussion, and I think in many of our talks, is that cybersecurity is really a mindset game. It's a long-term commitment that brings a lot of success. So there's a good, probably great career path awaiting if you are willing to jump into this career or in this advocacy, as what Mr. Chair has mentioned. Thank you. Again, Richard, thank you, and Janice, for gracing us with your presence today.
VP
VP
Alex?
Alex.
Thanks a lot,
Yeah.
also Pixpro.
Yeah, I am late, so I just want to thank Richard and Janice for hosting this Friday's Casey, and nice meeting you guys. Pipi Mia.
So Richard, Janice, and to Pen, and everyone who from Exclusive Networks who's watching us, thank you so much for joining us. Actually, they already said everything, so I just would like to take this opportunity to invite everyone to become, Pixpro members, because we do offer the trainings that we mentioned earlier. And as part of the advocacy, we really want as many individuals to have and have these trainings available to you free of charge. So tama ba yon, VP Alex, so if you have any questions regarding our training programs and membership programs, you can just reach out to us via Messenger, or
Facebook.
you can email us, or in Facebook. Yeah, so paano, VP Alex? Friday na ulit.
Yes, it's Friday
Teka,
na.
VP Alex, i-reiterate natin yon. Yung yung training, formal training plus certification. That's what the qualified Pixpro member will get. But you have to give your commitment that you will join the training and you will pass the certification exam, and that's for free. Remember that these trainings are costing the cheapest is $1,500 up to $2,500, including the certification exam. So we will be announcing three initial
Mr. Chair, yes.
Three who will undergo 3 types of formal trainings with certification.
Yes, and together they will get a Pixpro badge.
Yep. So
Nice.
if you will have if you will pass the 3 certifications, then you will become the Pixpro certified professional basic.
Basic
Because the next one, you need to pass 5 certifications, and that's all free. It will be given for free.
Yeah.
So become intermediate. After that, whatever training you choose, and you pass 6 from 6 to whatever, then you become the advanced Pixpro cybersecurity professional. And we already have sponsors, so that
Very
should be interesting,
right?
Yes.
Alex.
Okay,
Once
we
again,
say-
Richard and Janice, and
Thank you also.
all right. So in the Pixpro, we have a saying, walang weekend, happy lang. So everyone bids everyone happy weekend. For us, there's no weekend, we're just happy.
Okay, yun na. Sinabi na ni Mr. Price. Okay na yun. Thank you, thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
Okay, happy lang, no weekend.
Bye.
Ay, Janice,
Have a
see
happy
you sa
weekend.
31, ha? See you sa 30. Janice.
Sige, sir.
Eh,
Asa na, sir? Sige, sir. Go.
Golf.
Sige, I'll bring pen.
Yes,
Yup,
you
yup,
should.
bring
We will
it
should.
para mamit namin.
Full force.
Yup. Okay.
Thanks, sir.
Janice,
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you,
Lord.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Salamat.